To arrive in Beijing is, well, it really is like stepping into this vibrant, sometimes jarring conversation between different centuries.
It absolutely is.
We are diving deep today into one of the world's most complex, most enduring cities, Beijing, the northern capital.
Yeah.
Just try and picture this duality for a moment. 1 second, you're navigating a 600-year-old Hutong alleyway. The air might be thick with, I don't know, roasting chestnuts, maybe a bit of coal smoke. You hear the sounds of local life bouncing off those amazing gray brick courtyard walls. You really feel the weight of all that dynastic history.
And then, bam. Just like that, you step out onto this huge, super modern, maybe 8-lane boulevard.
Right.
And you're completely dwarfed by these like crazy architectural marvels of the 21st century. The CCTV headquarters, all those shiny towers in the CBD. That really intense, almost disorienting contrast where the imperial past is still physically there, part of the modern street. That's the real Beijing.
It's not a city that just paved over everything.
No, not at all. Yeah. It's a place where, 3,000 years of civilization is still living, breathing, and sort of arguing with its own dynamic future. It's happening right now.
So what's our mission for this deep dive then? We want to give you, our listeners, that kind of comprehensive shortcut, the key knowledge you need to actually master this duality.
Right.
How do you, as a visitor, or maybe someone just fascinated by world history, handle the sheer logistics? A metro area of 21 million people.
It's huge.
While also getting access to those really profound historical experiences, the ones that really define the whole Chinese narrative.
Precisely. A visit to Beijing, it's like an immersive, high-stakes education, you could say.
Yeah.
So we're going to break down the fundamental practicalities.
That's it.
Everything from, mastering the digital integration that really makes the city work.
Which sounds crucial.
Oh, it is. To breaking down the costs, the budget, and then finally sort of peeling back those layers of history at the Forbidden City, the Great Wall.
It's about being informed, right? Enough to get past just the surface level tourism and really grasp how this complex city actually functions.
Exactly. Understand the mechanisms. Okay, let's unpack this crucial information.
Okay, so navigating a city the size of Beijing, it can seem, well, pretty overwhelming at first glance. But its transport, its infrastructure, it's actually a kind of masterpiece of modern urban planning.
It really is remarkably efficient.
So our deep dive starts right where you do, arrival. And this involves what our sources are calling the tale of two airports. You've got two very different gateways into the city.
That's right. For decades, the main one, the one everyone knew, was Peking. That's Beijing Capital International Airport. It's about 30 kilometers northeast of the sort of historic center.
Okay.
It's still closer to the main business districts, the historical core, and it's where most of the big legacy international airlines still fly into.
And then you've got the relatively new kid on the block.
Right, PKX, Beijing Daxing International Airport.
That's the architectural spectacle, isn't it? The Zaha Hadid design.
It is. It's stunning. State-of-the-art, futuristic, that huge, symmetrical starfish shape. But, and this is important, it's located quite a bit further south.
Right, and that location difference is a really critical logistical point you need to factor in right away for your transfer.
Absolutely. That initial choice, PK or PKX, it directly impacts your travel time into the city and the cost, too, significantly.
So if speed is the priority, avoiding traffic,
then the airport express train is, well, it's pretty much non-negotiable. From Peking, it's a flat fee, 25. And you're reliably at Dongcheng Station in maybe 20, 25 minutes.
Then Dongcheng is a key hub.
Crucial. It links right into Subway Line 2, the Loop Line, and Line 13. Gives you easy access to most of the inner city from there.
Okay, and from the southern airport, PKX.
From PKX, the express train ride is a little bit longer, maybe 22 minutes, and slightly more expensive, 35. It takes you to Chaoyang Station.
Chaoyang.
Yeah. And while the train itself is fast, Chaoyang is still a bit further out. So you'll need a smooth transfer onto the subway network from there to get right into the center. Still efficient, but an extra step.
What about if you've got loads of luggage? Or maybe arriving really late at night?
Then taxis and ride-hailing services are your go-to. They're available 24/7 at both airports. From Peking, heading to the city center, you're probably looking at somewhere between, say, 120 and 180.
Okay, reasonable.
But because PKX is so much further south, that taxi fare, it jumps up quite a bit. Yeah. You're generally looking at around 220, maybe even more if the traffic's bad. So definitely something to budget for if you fly into Daxing.
It's interesting, though, for the real budget explorer, there's the airport bus network.
Oh yeah, the buses are definitely the cheapest option.
Routes going all over the city for just, what, 20 to 40?
Exactly. Dirt cheap. But you have to be prepared for a much longer journey. We're talking 60, maybe 90 minutes.
And potentially confusing stops if you don't know the Mandarin names.
That's the trade-off. Time and maybe a bit of confusion versus saving money.
Okay. This brings us to something you flagged earlier as absolutely critical. Day one. Digital integration.
Yes. This is honestly non-negotiable. You simply cannot experience Beijing efficiently, like a local, without getting comfortable with its digital environment. But before you even think about apps,
There's a hurdle.
there's a big hurdle for international visitors.
The Great Firewall. You can't really talk about digital access in China without mentioning the need for, well, specific tools to access the global internet. It's a huge difference from most other places.
Exactly. The very first thing you absolutely must do is make sure you have a working virtual private network, VPN. And it needs to be installed and tested before you leave home.
Before you land.
Critically, before you land. Because once you're there, getting one set up can be extremely difficult, if not impossible. Without a reliable VPN, so many international services you rely on, Google Maps, your usual news sites, maybe even some hotel booking platforms, they just won't work.
Which could really mess up your plans.
It could paralyze you, yeah. Especially for navigation and communication using the tools you're used to. So VPN first. Then once you've got connectivity sorted, the next step is mobile payment.
Right. Because the efficiency of pretty much everything in Beijing, transport, shopping, eating it all, seems to run on two main digital payment systems.
Alipay and WeChat Pay. They dominate completely. Cash, physical tickets, they're becoming really rare, almost artifacts.
And the challenge for visitors is getting these apps linked up to international bank accounts or credit cards, right? That's where people often get stuck on day one.
It can be a stumbling block. Alipay seems to be a bit more straightforward for visitors currently. They offer a tour pass feature, or you can often link international Visa or MasterCard fairly easily now.
Okay.
And you need to do this immediately upon arrival. Because everything, I mean everything, from buying a coffee at a local shop to grabbing a shared bike off the street, relies on scanning a QR code with one of these apps.
Okay, so digital integration is paramount. VPN first, then mobile payment. Once you've got that sorted, the city kind of opens up.
It really does.
Let's talk about the city's circulatory system then. The subway. It's massive, right? One of the world's biggest.
Huge. We're talking 27 lines, nearly 500 stations.
Mm-hmm.
It's constantly expanding. But despite the scale, it's incredibly easy to use and, surprisingly, very cheap.
The cost is amazing. Fares are based on distance, starting at just 03. That's like, what, 40 US cents? For trips up to 6 kilometers?
Yeah, unbelievably affordable. And for tourists, the accessibility is fantastic. All the station names, the signs, the announcements on the trains, everything is in both Mandarin and standard English pinyin, plus spoken English announcements.
That removes a huge barrier.
It really does. Makes it much less intimidating than public transport in some other major global cities.
Are there key lines that tourists should probably memorize?
Definitely helps. Line 1 is your main east-west artery. That's the one for hitting the absolute core. Tiananmen Square, the Forbidden City.
Got it.
Line 2 is the essential loop line. It basically follows the path of the old Ming Dynasty city walls. Connects major hubs like Dongcheng, where the Airport Express arrives, and the main Beijing railway station. Very useful.
Okay, line 1, east-west. Line 2, loop.
And line 5 is a key north-south connector. That's the one you'll likely use to get to the Temple of Heaven down south and the Lama Temple up north.
Perfect. And how do you actually pay? Forget tokens, you said.
Yeah, tokens are pretty much gone. The easiest, most common method now is just using your mobile payment app, Alipay or WeChat Pay.
The ones you set up on day one.
Exactly. You generate a Metro QR code within the app, scan it at the gate to get in, scan it again when you leave, and it automatically calculates the fare based on your journey distance and deducts it. Super smooth.
Is the old Hutong card still an option, the physical top-up card?
It still exists, yeah.
Yeah.
You can buy and load a physical Hutong card at stations, but honestly, the digital QR code via your phone is just the standard now, much more convenient.
Okay, so subway sorted. Now, moving above ground. This is where things get really, really different from maybe what Western visitors are used to, particularly with taxis.
Oh, completely. Traditional street hailing.
Yeah.
Waving down a taxi on the road. That's largely, well, obsolete in Beijing now.
Really?
Pretty much. Didi, which is China's main ride-hailing app, is totally dominant. It's like the Uber or Lyft equivalent, but on a much larger scale.
And the key thing here for international visitors is its accessibility, right?
Yeah, that's what makes it so indispensable. You can download the Didi app from international app stores before you even go.
Okay.
You can usually register it with your foreign phone number, link it to your international credit card, or ideally, your already set up Alipay account.
And the language barrier.
That's the killer feature. It has a built-in English interface, and it includes automated translation for messages between you and the driver.
Wow, okay.
So you can type your destination in English, the driver sees it in Chinese, they can message you in Chinese, you see it in English. It's a massive help for getting exactly where you need to go, especially navigating those tricky little Hutong alleys where a driver might need clarification.
That translation feature sounds like a lifesaver. But I guess I do wonder sometimes, with Didi being so dominant, does relying almost entirely on this one massive app raise any issues? Maybe privacy concerns, or what happens if someone just can't get their foreign details linked up right away? Are they kind of stuck?
That's a really valid point. From a privacy perspective, yes, having almost all your movement data consolidated onto one platform is certainly something users should be aware of.
Right.
And yes, if you hit a technical snag and just cannot link a payment method successfully, maybe your bank blocks it initially or something, you are significantly limited. The traditional backup is slow.
So traditional taxis do still exist.
They do. You can still find licensed taxis, especially queuing at hotels or major train stations.
Mm-hmm.
You need to look for the official ones. They usually have a B on the license plate. They must use the meter and display the driver's license.
Okay.
Flagfall rate starts at 13 for the first 3 kilometers. But the big issue is communication. You absolutely must have your destination address written down clearly in Chinese characters.
No English.
Assume zero English communication is possible, which is precisely why Didi, with its translation, has become so essential. Digital integration isn't just a convenience, it's almost mandatory for smooth surface travel.
Got it. Okay, so Didi is key. What about another way to reclaim some independence on the streets? Cycling.
Ah, yes, the cycling renaissance. Beijing is fantastic for cycling. It's remarkably flat, historically a city of bicycles.
And the shared bikes are everywhere, right?
Absolutely ubiquitous. Dockless sharing schemes, mainly Didi Bike and Hello Bike, are on practically every street corner.
How do they work?
Super simple. You use your Alipay or WeChat app again, scan the QR code on the bike, it unlocks, and you ride. It costs just a few yuan per hour, incredibly cheap.
And this isn't just about getting from A to B, is it?
No, it's much more than that. It's an immersive experience.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, cycling is the best, most intimate way to explore those incredible historic Hutong alleyways. You get a real feel for the neighborhood, the community life in a way you just miss completely from the subway or inside a car. It's wonderful.
Okay, so once you've figured out how to arrive and how to move around, the next huge decision is where you actually base yourself. Choosing your neighborhood in Beijing, it really does fundamentally shape your whole perception of the city.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
It's not just about, how close you are to the main sites. It's about consciously picking which version of Beijing you want to wake up in each morning. Do you want that imperial grandeur right outside your door? Or maybe the lakeside culture? Or that modern cosmopolitan buzz?
Makes sense. Where should we start? The historic heart.
Let's start right in the Dongcheng district. This is the imperial and sort of geographical core. It's largely within the old city walls. For first-timers, for history buffs, this is often the default choice because you are literally right there. Maximum convenience for the Forbidden City, Tiananmen Square, and key subway lines.
And within Dongcheng, there are different vibes, right? Like Wangfujing.
Exactly. Wangfujing is the famous classic commercial street. Think high-end shopping, big department stores, luxury international hotels, the peninsula, the Regent Beijing, places like that.
So the pros are obvious.
Undisputed pros.
Mm-hmm.
Sheer convenience, very high standard of accommodation, and yes, you are within easy walking distance of those absolute must-see historical sites and museums.
But there's a downside.
There is. The atmosphere is very commercial, very modern, maybe a bit sanitized. And the hotels here are generally the most expensive in the city. You definitely sacrifice some of that old Beijing authentic feel for sleek, modern convenience. The history isn't spilling onto the street here. You have to walk a bit to find it.
Okay, so Wangfujing is luxury and convenience. What's the contrast within Dongcheng?
Head just south of Tiananmen Square to Qianmen and Dashilan. Now it's Dashilar. This area feels much more like old Beijing. It has these beautifully restored pedestrian streets, shops that have been there for centuries, a really lively historic street food scene. It's great for just soaking up the atmosphere.
Sounds more my style. What are the pros and cons there?
Pros, still an excellent, very central location, often much better value for money on accommodation compared to Wingfujing. And you get to wake up right in the middle of a traditional urban environment, which is fantastic.
Oh, it's...
Well, because it's an older district, the architecture means some hotels might have, slightly older facilities. Not necessarily bad, just different. And the really key thing is access. Those charming, narrow Hutong alleys often mean taxis can't pull right up to the door. You might have a short, maybe 50-meter walk from the main road to your hotel entrance.
Okay, good to know. Let's move slightly north then to the lakes area, Shichahai.
Ah, Shichahai, yes. This offers a completely different kind of immersion. People often call it the poetic soul of old Beijing. It's this beautiful scenic area centered around 3 interconnected lakes, Huhai, Qianhai, and Qihai, lined with weeping willows, surrounded by those traditional Sihuan courtyard homes.
Sounds lovely. What's the vibe like?
It's wonderfully dualistic. During the day, it's incredibly peaceful. You'll find tea houses, little temples, locals just chatting by the water, maybe playing chess. Very serene.
And at night?
It transforms, especially the area around Huhai Lake. It becomes this really vibrant, high-energy hub. Loads of bars, live music venues spilling out onto the pavement, bustling restaurant patios. It's got a real buzz after dark.
The accommodation there sounds interesting, too. You mentioned Sihuan being converted.
Yes, this is really compelling. While sadly many hutongs across Beijing were demolished, in the Shichahai area, a lot of the traditional courtyard homes were actually preserved and restored. Many have been turned into unique boutique hotels or guest houses.
So you can actually stay in one?
You can. It gives you a really unique lodging experience, one that reflects traditional culture. There's one example of the Shichahai Shadow Art Performance Courtyard Hotel, which is themed around traditional shadow puppetry. You're literally staying inside the culture.
But I imagine that unique character comes at a price, reflecting that preservation effort.
It does. Staying in a well-restored Sihuan in Shichahai is often quite expensive, reflecting the premium placed on that preserved culture and prime location. It tells a story about gentrification as well as preservation.
Okay, so we've done Imperial core, old Beijing charm, lakeside culture. What about the super modern side?
Then we pivot sharply east to the cosmopolitan frontier, the vast Chaoyang district.
This is 21st century Beijing.
This is absolutely the face of modern Beijing. It's huge, sprawling. It's where you find the central business district, the CBD, with all the skyscrapers. Almost all the foreign embassies are located here. It's the modern engine of the city.
So if you're there for business, or you want that international global finance feel,
Chaoyang is your base. And the absolute heart of Chaoyang's international buzz is Sanlitun.
right, famous for nightlife?
The liveliest, most cutting-edge nightlife scene, definitely. But also international boutiques, innovative restaurants, lots of expats. It's the cosmopolitan core.
Does Chaoyang have cultural sites too, or is it all business and nightlife?
Oh, it has critical cultural hubs, but modern ones. We'll talk more about the 798 Art District later. That's Beijing's premier contemporary art zone, built in old factories. Very cool space.
Okay.
And you also have the Olympic Park in Chaoyang with the iconic Bird's Nest Stadium. That whole area really cemented Chaoyang's identity as the district representing Beijing's global ambition and its modern architectural statement.
And accommodation in Chaoyang, mostly big international chains.
Predominantly, yes. Dominated by the high-end international brands, Four Seasons, Westin, hotels like that, reflecting the business and diplomatic focus of the district.
Okay, let's talk money. Beijing is, a major global capital city, but I get the sense its cost structure is maybe more accessible than, say, Tokyo or London or New York.
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
It can be surprisingly affordable, especially compared to those cities. But you really need to understand the cost nuances to manage your budget and expectations effectively.
So let's break it down. Maybe look at some daily budget blueprints based on, say, 2025 estimates.
Good idea. Let's start with the Budget Explorer. We're talking probably somewhere in the range of $300 to $600 per day.
Which is roughly?
Roughly US $40 to $85 a day. Now, this means you're staying in hostels, dorm rooms probably. You're eating mostly street food, maybe tiny local little shops. And you're relying exclusively on public transport, the subway, the bus, no taxis or Didi.
So doable, but requires some diligence.
Requires efficiency and being comfortable with basic accommodation and food. Definitely doable, though.
What about the next step up, the mid-range traveler? This feels like where most international tourists might land.
I agree. This is probably the sweet spot. Budget-wise, let's say $600 to $1,500 per day.
Okay, so US $85 to maybe $210 per day.
Exactly. This kind of budget allows for a comfortable stay in a decent 3-star, maybe even a 4-star hotel. You can enjoy a good mix of dining, trying popular local restaurants, maybe some casual international places too. And you can supplement the subway with the occasional Didi ride, maybe for convenience getting back late at night.
That sounds pretty comfortable. And the top end, the luxury connoisseur.
Here, we're starting at $1,500 per day, so US $210 plus. And honestly, that starting point might just cover your room rate at a 5-star international hotel.
Right.
This tier opens up everything. Fine dining experiences, hiring private drivers or guides, high-end shopping, bespoke tours, the works. Sky's the limit, really.
But one area where Beijing seems to offer amazing value, regardless of your budget, is food.
Oh, absolutely. Dining is a massive cultural highlight and doesn't have to break the bank at all.
Like street food.
You can feast like royalty for pennies. A classic savory breakfast jambing, that sort of crepe. Maybe 8. That's just over $1.
Wow.
A big, hearty, really filling bowl of zhajangmian, that's the famous Beijing noodle dish with soybean paste, probably only $15 to $25.
Less than $4.
Yeah. And even a proper sit-down meal at a popular, busy neighborhood restaurant. You can have a very satisfying meal, maybe with a local beer, for $50 to $150 per person. So maybe $7 to $20. Incredible value.
Okay, let's talk about the quintessential Beijing food experience, Peking duck. This really illustrates the cost range, doesn't it? You have to try it, but the price tag varies wildly.
It does. It's the perfect example of the Peking duck spectrum. The price often reflects the ambiance, the service level, the location, more than a massive difference in the duck itself, especially between mid-range and budget.
So where can you get it on a budget?
There are local favorites, often packed, maybe a bit chaotic, but serving amazing duck. A great example is Ziguang Yuan. It's actually a halal restaurant, very popular with locals. You can get a whole, crispy-skinned duck, carved, with all the pancakes and condiments, for an unbelievable $98.
Under $15 for a whole duck.
Yeah. It's fast, it's noisy, it's delicious, pure local experience.
Okay, moving up to mid-range, where a lot of tourists might go.
Then you're looking at places like Ciji Menfu. They're critically acclaimed, have multiple locations, often near tourist sites. Here, you're paying a bit more, maybe $228 for a whole bird.
So around $30.
Right. And what you're getting for that extra cost is a nicer ambience, maybe linen tablecloths, and often a more theatrical tableside carving presentation by the chef. It's probably the perfect balance of price, quality, and experience for most visitors.
And the luxury end, for a real splurge.
Then you're looking at famous gourmet interpretations like Dadong or perhaps Hutong Plus. Here, it's about the chef's artistry, maybe innovative side dishes, an extensive wine list, impeccable service in a very refined setting. A whole duck might start at $398, so over $55.
And the rest of the meal adds up quickly there, I imagine.
Absolutely. The duck itself might be subtly different, maybe even leaner or cooked differently, but the main jump in price is for the overall fine dining environment and brand name.
Okay, so duck for every budget. Now, shifting gears to accessing the history. The big sites. Entrance fees seem reasonable on paper. Forbidden City is $60 in peak season. Temple of Heaven combo ticket, $34.
The headline prices are very reasonable, yes, but there is a huge crucial alert here that visitors absolutely need to know about.
What's that?
Many, if not most, of the major historical sites now require advance online booking. And tickets, especially for the most famous places like the Forbidden City, often sell out days, sometimes even weeks, in advance.
You can't just show up and buy a ticket anymore.
For the big ones, generally, no. Not reliably. You risk being turned away.
How do you book them then? Online? How?
This is the tricky part. These bookings are often managed through WeChat mini programs.
Ah, linking back to the digital integration hurdle.
Exactly. These are like little apps within the main WeChat app. They often require a Chinese ID number or a functioning WeChat Pay or Alipay account linked to a Chinese bank account, although some are getting better at accepting foreign passports and payments. But it can still be a significant barrier if you haven't got your digital setup sorted or if the specific mini program for that site isn't foreign visitor friendly.
So if you arrive unprepared, you might literally be locked out of the Forbidden City.
It's a real possibility, yes, especially during busy seasons.
So the backup plan needs to be?
Your hotel concierge is your best friend here, or booking through a reputable tour operator well in advance. They can navigate the Chinese language booking systems and secure those time-slotted tickets for you. But you need to plan ahead. Spontaneity for major sites is risky now.
Wow, that's a critical piece of advice. The digital barrier is now an access barrier to history itself.
It really is. And the Great Wall provides another perfect example of how costs can add up beyond the headline fee.
Right. You see, the entrance fee for a popular section like Nuxianyu is only $4.40, which sounds great.
Yeah, less than US $6.
Mhm.
But that 40 only gets you through the main gate at the bottom of the hill.
And then?
And then the ancillary costs kick in, mostly for convenience. First, you'll almost certainly need the mandatory shuttle bus to get from the ticket area up to the actual base of the wall. That's another 15.
Okay.
Then, unless you want a very strenuous, steep hike up, you'll likely want a round-trip cable car or chairlift to get onto the wall itself. That's
Yeah.
140.
Ouch. So that's added quite a bit already.
We're already at 195. And then, if you want the fun toboggan ride back down the mountain after your walk,
Which looks amazing.
it is fun. That's another 100 one way.
So if you opt for all the convenient transport options, shuttle, cable car up and down, toboggan down, your 40 entrance fee has suddenly ballooned to nearly $300 per person.
Easily. Around US $45 per person, just for the access and transport on the wall itself. That doesn't even include your transport to Muxianyu from Beijing.
But budget travelers can save a lot here.
Absolutely. If you're fit and have the time, you can skip the cable car and toboggan and do the hike up and down for free. It's steep, it takes time, but it saves you a significant chunk of money. It just shows how that initial low price doesn't tell the whole story.
That's a really important lesson. Check the add-on costs. For reference, what about other key sites? Summer Palace, Lama Temple.
Their combo tickets are still very reasonable. Summer Palace combo is 60, Lama Temple is just 25. Great value as long as you handle the advanced booking logistics.
Okay, so we've tackled the logistics, the costs. Now for the real payoff. Diving into the sheer weight and wonder of Chinese imperial history. Let's start right at the epicenter, the heart of the empire, the Forbidden City, the Guging.
For over 500 years, yeah, from 1420 right up until 1924 when the last emperor left, this massive complex wasn't just the emperor's home. It was considered the literal and symbolic center of the entire Chinese universe.
Home to 24 emperors, Ming and Qing dynasties.
Exactly. And the name itself, Forbidden City. We really can't overstate the political power it held. Unauthorized entry for anyone, any commoner, was punishable by immediate execution.
Wow.
It's vast. A self-contained city within a city covering over 180 acres. It was designed to physically manifest the cosmic order right here on Earth.
And the architecture itself is loaded with symbolism, isn't it? The layout.
Absolutely staggering amounts of symbolism. So the whole complex is laid out with this incredibly precise, perfect symmetry along a central north-south axis.
That wasn't just for looks.
No. It was deeply political and sort of divine. The design was meant to align the emperor, who lived and worked along this axis, with the celestial pole star, the fixed, unchanging center of the heavens. This visually reinforced the emperor's mandate of heaven, his divine right to rule.
Everything had meaning.
Every single detail. The famous yellow-tiled roofs. Yellow was the imperial color, reserved exclusively for the emperor's use. Even things like the number of little animal figurines perched on the roof ridges of the main halls.
I've seen pictures of those.
Right. They always had an odd number, usually 9 on the most important buildings, never 7, for example. That number 9, it signified the emperor's supreme status, his cosmic importance. Every element reinforced the hierarchy, the Confucian principles of order.
It's fascinating, too, the deeper history of the site itself. This Ming Dynasty palace wasn't the first one here.
That's right. The ground you're walking on is layered. Before the Ming built this Forbidden City, the site actually housed the palace of the earlier Yuan dynasty, founded by Kublai Khan. And even before that, the Liao dynasty, who were a semi-nomadic people from the north, had their southern capital here.
So it represents that continuous cycle.
Of conquest, yeah. Cultural overwriting, appropriation. Each new dynasty built upon and often deliberately erased parts of the previous one's center of power. It's written into the very ground.
Okay, so if the Forbidden City was the seat of earthly political power, what about the Temple of Heaven, the Tiantan?
The Temple of Heaven was the emperor's most sacred connection point. His direct line to the divine, to heaven itself.
It's designed differently too, right? More circular elements.
Exactly. The whole complex embodies that ancient Chinese cosmology of a square earth and a round heaven. This was where the emperor, in his unique role as the son of heaven, performed the absolute most important state rituals.
Twice a year.
Twice a year, usually. He'd come here to offer these incredibly solemn sacrifices, primarily to pray for good harvest for the entire empire. But just as importantly, these rituals publicly demonstrated and reaffirmed his legitimacy to rule, showing he had heaven's approval.
And architecturally, it's stunning, that main building.
The Hall of Prayer for Good Harvest. It's magnificent. A towering, triple-eaved circular building. What's really remarkable is that it's built entirely of wood using intricate joinery without a single metal nail.
Incredible craftsmanship.
And the symbolism inside. Those central 4 pillars represent the 4 seasons. Then there's an inner ring of 12 pillars for the 12 months, and an outer ring of 12 pillars for the 12 traditional 2-hour periods of the Chinese day.
Wow.
Put it all together, and the building itself represents the entire cosmos, the universe, and the emperor's crucial role in keeping the earthly world in harmony with the heavens.
And there are acoustic wonders, too. The altar, the echo wall.
Yes. The circular mound altar, where the main ceremonies took place, is open to the sky. Its tiered marble design was engineered to amplify the speaker's voice, ensuring the emperor's prayers resonated, symbolically reaching heaven. And the famous echo wall surrounding the Imperial Vault of Heaven, well, a whisper really does travel clearly all the way around its circumference. These weren't just tricks. They were designed to enhance the sense of sacredness and the unique power of the Son of Heaven.
But the most striking thing today, maybe, is the contrast. What happens there now?
It's beautiful, isn't it? This incredibly solemn, once highly restricted imperial space is now completely reclaimed by the ordinary people of Beijing.
How so?
Every single morning, especially, the surrounding park is absolutely buzzing. It's filled with local residents practicing Tai Chi, groups singing Beijing opera, people ballroom dancing, playing intense games of Chinese chess or cards. It's this vibrant, living community space.
That's amazing history being transformed.
It's a perfect, joyful symbol of that. The sacred imperial past becoming part of the vital daily life of the modern city.
Okay, from the Temple of Heaven to maybe the most globally recognized symbol of China, the Great Wall, Chongqing.
Ah, the wall.
What's really fascinating, as you pointed out, is that it's not one single wall.
Not at all. It's a massive, sprawling system, a series of fortifications, watchtowers, barracks, garrison towns, even natural barriers like mountains and rivers, all incorporated, built and rebuilt by different dynasties over something like 2,000 years.
So choosing which section to visit is actually a really key decision. The experience can be totally different.
Absolutely crucial decision. You have to match the section to the kind of experience you want.
So what are the main options near Beijing? Bottling.
Bottling is the most famous, the most heavily restored section. It's also the easiest to get to now, with a dedicated high-speed train line from Beijing. But the downside is
Crowds.
overwhelming crowds,
Yeah.
especially during peak season or weekends. You might be shuffling along in a queue just to walk on the wall itself. It could feel a bit like Disneyland.
Okay, maybe not ideal for everyone. What about Muqianyu? We talked about the costs there.
Muqianyu is often the recommended alternative for first-timers or families. It's also fully restored, very scenic with lots of greenery, especially in summer and autumn.
And it has the cable car and toboggan.
Right, the transport options make it more accessible. The crowds are generally significant, but usually less intense than Battleland. It strikes a good balance between restoration, scenery, and accessibility.
What if you want something more rugged, more authentic feeling?
Then you need to look a bit further afield. Maybe consider Jinshanling. This section is only partially restored. Parts of it are quite wild, crumbling. It has that raw, unrestored aesthetic that many hikers and photographers are looking for.
So better for hiking. Fewer people.
Definitely. Much better for challenging hikes, incredible photography opportunities, and significantly lower crowds. It requires a bit more effort to get to, but the reward is that sense of scale and history without the hordes.
Any other options? Maybe something unique?
Well, there's Simitai. It's also partially restored, known for being quite steep and dramatic.
Yeah.
But its unique selling point is that it's the only section officially open for organized night tours. Seeing the wall lit up under the stars is supposedly quite magical, though access is usually part of a package deal, including staying in the nearby water town.
Okay, lots of choices for the wall. Now, to really feel the texture of old Beijing life, you have to get lost in the Hutongs, right?
You absolutely must. The Hutong. These are the ancient, narrow alleyways, typically lined with those traditional single-story courtyard homes, the Xiaoan. They've been the backbone of Beijing's residential neighborhoods, the fabric of community life, really since the Yuan dynasty back in the 13th century.
But visiting them today has a sense of urgency.
It really does. There's a poignant urgency. During Beijing's massive push for modernization, especially before the 2008 Olympics, estimates are that over 70%, maybe even more, of the original Hutongs were demolished, just wiped out to make way for wider roads, high-rise apartments, shopping malls.
Wow, 70%.
So exploring a Hutong area today isn't just charming. It's a crucial glimpse into a way of life, a community structure that is rapidly disappearing or has already vanished in many parts of the city.
How best to explore them?
Slowly is the key. On foot is great. Or rent one of those shared bikes we talked about, perfect for navigating the narrow lanes. You can also take a traditional cycle rickshaw tour, especially popular around the Shikai Lakes area.
Are some Hutongs more touristy than others?
Oh yes, an area like Nanluguqiang is very famous, very lively, but it's also heavily commercialized now with boutiques, cafes, snack stalls. It's fun, but maybe less authentic. For a quieter, more residential feel, you might just wander off the main streets into areas like Kaohsiung Hutong near the Drum and Bell Towers. That's where you really feel the genuine, close-knit community atmosphere.
Okay, and finally, we have to touch on the modern pulse of the city, too, reconciling the old with the new, art and architecture.
Absolutely. And the best place to feel that contemporary energy is the 798 Art District.
In Chaoyang District.
Yes. It's Beijing's absolute premier hub for contemporary art. Galleries, studios, installations. It really showcases the city's dynamism and its connection to the global art scene.
And the setting itself is historic, old factories.
That's what makes it so fascinating. It was built in the 1950s as a complex of state-owned electronics factories designed by East German architects in the Bauhaus-style, very functional socialist modernism.
And they repurposed them.
Exactly. When the factories were decommissioned, artists started moving into the vast, light-filled industrial spaces in the early 2000s. Now it's this amazing blend. You can still see the original industrial machinery, pipelines, sometimes even faded Mao-era propaganda slogans on the walls, right next to cutting-edge international art galleries and trendy cafes.
That sounds like a perfect metaphor for Beijing itself.
It really is. That dialogue between its mid-century socialist past and its 21st century globalized present, all happening in the same physical space.
And we also have to mention the Olympic Park.
Definitely. Also in Chaoyang, a vast space built for the 2008 Games, dominated by those iconic structures like the Bird's Nest National Stadium and the Water Cube Aquatic Center.
A monument to that moment.
A powerful monument to Beijing's 21st century coming out party on the global stage. A statement of immense architectural ambition and national pride. It serves as that modern, large-scale counterpoint to the enclosed imperial weight of the Forbidden City over in Dongcheng. #outro bind.
Wow, okay. We have covered a lot of ground. From navigating 2 huge airports in the digital maze to budgeting for Peking duck and feeling the weight of 500 years at the Forbidden City. Let's quickly pull together some final trip essentials. Timing seems absolutely critical for Beijing.
It is everything. The optimal times to visit, hands down, are spring, say, April and May, and autumn, September and October.
Why then specifically?
You generally get the best weather. Mild temperatures, comfortable for walking around, clearer skies, which makes a huge difference for views from the Great Wall or Jingshan Park over the Forbidden City. Just much more pleasant overall.
And times to definitely avoid.
Absolutely avoid summer if you can. July and August can be very hot, very humid, and it's also peak domestic tourist season because of school holidays, so crowds are high.
But there are even worse times.
Yes. The absolute worst times, unless you have no choice, are the National Golden Weeks. These are major public holidays, typically around May 1st, Labor Day, and October 1st, National Day.
What happens then?
The entire country seems to travel. Major tourist sites, transport hubs, they become unbelievably, unmanageably crowded. You could spend hours just queuing to get into the Forbidden City or onto the Great Wall. It can really impact your enjoyment. So check the calendar carefully.
Good advice. What about a quick note on cultural etiquette, things to keep in mind?
Observing respect is really key. A simple one is using the more formal nine. Neen sounds like neen. Instead of just in AA when you're addressing elders or people in positions of authority, like maybe hotel staff or officials, it shows politeness.
Okay, nin A for respect. Anything else?
Remember the concept of using both hands when giving or receiving something like a business card, a gift, even money sometimes. It's a small gesture, but it signifies respect.
Both hands. Got it.
And perhaps most importantly, try to be mindful of face mianzi. This is a complex concept, but basically, avoid causing public embarrassment to someone or losing your own temper publicly. Raising your voice or making a scene is generally frowned upon and can escalate simple misunderstandings. Try to handle disagreements calmly and discreetly.
Maintain face. Okay. And one final logistical reminder. Visas.
Yes. Always check your specific visa requirements well in advance of travel. Many nationalities still need to apply for a standard L-type tourist visa before they go.
But there are transit options now, too.
That's right. China has significantly expanded its visa-free transit policies. Depending on your nationality and flight path, if you're transiting through Beijing or other major cities to a third country, you might be eligible for a visa-free stay of up to 24, 72, or even 144 hours. That's up to 6 days. It's a great option for a shorter visit if your flights qualify. Definitely look into the specifics for your situation.
Okay, crucial details there. So wrapping this all up.
This deep dive, I think, by peeling back all these layers, the logistics, the cost, the deep history, it really reveals Beijing as a city defined by this almost unyielding ambition.
Unyielding ambition, I like that.
Yeah. It's a place where that grand, centuries-long imperial narrative of China is still constantly unfolding, sometimes arguing with its own past, while simultaneously relentlessly forging its hypermodern future. It's happening all at once.
It sounds like a journey into Beijing will absolutely challenge your perceptions of scale, of history, of modernity. It'll inspire you with the architecture, old and new, and it definitely educates you on the enduring power of history and culture. It feels like a really profound and maybe necessary journey for anyone trying to understand our world.
I agree. And think back to what we discussed about the Temple of Heaven. That incredibly sacred space, the emperor's direct line to the divine, the Son of Heaven keeping the cosmos in balance.
Yeah, the most restricted, important ritual site.
And now every morning it's joyfully reclaimed. It's filled with the everyday life of ordinary citizens practicing Tai Chi, singing opera together, dancing.
It's become a public square,
Yeah.
essentially.
Exactly. So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. What does it really say about the trajectory of a modern city, and maybe modern China, when its most exclusive sacred imperial space is so vibrantly democratized? When it's transformed from a symbol of top-down divine power into a shared community space where people are literally weaving history into their daily health routines and social lives?
Transforming divine power into community power.
Something to think about, or maybe something for you to explore and feel for yourself when you begin planning your own deep dive into the northern capital.